Hi, my name is Selena Rodriguez, and this is my personal digital narrative. I grew up in a small town in the valley. My dad is originally from Mexico, whose parents are also from Mexico, and my mom was born in Texas, but her parents as well were born in Mexico. It's a given that most of my family spoke fluently in both Spanish and English. However, growing up, my siblings and I were not. At a young age, I never understood the importance or value of speaking my native language of Spanish. I assumed anyone who spoke Spanish also spoke English. This was an immature thought that soon escaped me when my parents and us took a trip to Cortázar, Guanajuato, where my dad's family lived. I can remember thinking how different this place was. The way the buildings were, the stores, the people, the music, the languages, and their everyday traditions. The moment I felt that I was different from this part of my family was through our language barrier. I couldn't communicate with any family, and being only 8, I didn't understand why. As time went and our trip continued, I remember not feeling like I belonged and wanted to go home. I was starting to feel uncomfortable, but still was interested in learning more about this part of my life. After returning home from our trip, and as years passed, I learned so much more about my culture's language. I also began to understand that I was different from my family. I didn't grow up speaking Spanish to other family members. Although most of my family are bilingual, I continued to feel a disconnect with family who did not speak Spanish, such as my grandmother. I feel that if I were fluent, my relationships with Spanish-speaking family members would have been much more meaningful and long-lasting. As I moved around to different cities outside the valley, people automatically would assume that I knew Spanish because of the way I looked and my name. I think that's been the hardest part. I was continuously asked, "You're from the valley and you don't know Spanish?" I thought everyone in the valley spoke Spanish, being so close to Mexico. Yeah, I wish that were always true. I was always finding myself having to explain that I understood it, but I struggled to keep a conversation going. People's reactions were sometimes insulting, like I didn't belong there either. Because of this, I still occasionally struggle to feel like I completely belong in one place as a Hispanic woman from the valley. Regardless of how my family and others made me feel, I was always proud of my heritage, my culture, and where I came from. After working in a city called Brownsville, a border town between the US and Mexico, I was forced into learning more Spanish than I ever had living north of the valley. I was so scared to work there, but it was a great opportunity for my career at the time. I look back at it now as a blessing. I was forced out of my comfort zone to practice my Spanish with risk of being judged for not speaking it properly. But I learned so much and grew much more confident in myself. I think I will always feel some disconnect from my hometown, as long as I am not fluent in Spanish. But home will always be home, and I will always be proud of where I'm from.